Hey everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and in my hand I have 10 $1 bills, and their total value is $10. That's right, $1 for each of the $1 bills. But there are some characteristics on bills that could make them worth a good bit more, and today we're going to be talking about web notes. These were an abnormally printed version of notes that ran for a few years, and there are some really rare ones out there. Some of them that have been found in circulation have ranged in the tens of thousands of dollars. Others of them are worth a few bucks, a nice chunk of change, and it's a treasure hunt, so it's good to be aware that these web notes exist. I'll show you what to look for on them, a little bit of backstory as to how they came about, and some of the best ones that are out there that are errors that you need to have your eye out for. So this is sort of our fast facts slide on the web notes, then we'll get into a few more specifics and then go into individual notes that sold at auction that were special in their little unique ways. But the web notes, they get their sort of name from the different type of printing method that was used and tested out from 1988 to 1995, those series. Obviously the years might be a little bit outside of that, but it was the web printing production, which is where continuous rolls of paper got printed on, as opposed to having the intaglio printing that uses flat sheets to print on both sides at the same time. It was pretty initially popular because the web notes would produce about double the amount that the intaglio would. However, it would break down a lot more frequently and would disrupt it so much that the added sort of labor and the time lost made it not worth it to continue this web note style and that web production. So they reverted back to the intaglio and still use that today. The series 1988A, 1993, and 1995 had web notes, and I'll go over it on the next slide more, but normally you're working with a faceplate number and a position indicator number as opposed to a pure faceplate number, and there's no letter in front of it on those web notes. So that's really the thing to look for. That pattern is going to continue where you have the backplate above the E in the one on the web note, whereas the backplate is going to be below it on the non-web note normal production. So the values are going to be about $1.50 for a really circulated one that doesn't have a special characteristic, which we're about to go over, devote most of the video to. A crisp uncirculated one could be worth about $5. Now you want to watch out for marketing that is going to try to sell you these as super collectible and then have you pay for fancy packaging and sell it for $20 or $30 when it's worth 5 or 10% of that. You just have to watch out and only pay up for the truly rare notes. The keys are the 1988A New York Federal Reserve Bank B to L, and I'm going to have photos of each of these, and the Atlanta F star. That's going to be the valuable ones. They can be worth a few $100 to a few $1,000. The first here we have an uncirculated New York B to L 1988 web note. You can see the faceplate number right there. It's just a 1, no letter. This sold for $1,780, just nice uncirculated from the toughest bank and serial number B to L, the first one. There's also going to be the F star web note from Atlanta, as I had mentioned. So Atlanta, Georgia, you see it right there, F and then star. This sold recently for $2,160. So a really, really nice upside on them. And these are like the keys in the web note series. There's also some super significant errors that resulted where there's a problem at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. Here we have an F star on one side from Atlanta, and the other one is an FL. So this is one of the most significant errors in the whole world of currency. It did circulate. You can see it folded up. People did not catch this on the way out. It is a web note. You can tell, again, just that 2 for the faceplate, but sold for $29,900 because one of it is the replacement. One of it, they did not align, and it's just the L. So that's extremely rare. Often there's mismatched suffixes or mismatched serial numbers, but it's super rare to have the mismatch involve one star and one non-star. There's a wet ink transfer web note. It sold for $245 and was transferred when the ink is still wet, as it sounds, and then gets imprinted from the reverse of a note onto the front of this one. And sort of visually very strange looking, but fun. And this circulated a little bit as well. People didn't really care or just said, hey, this one looks a little dotted. I don't want to even hold on to it. Here we have a solvent smear on the face. Basically, the solvent generally is used to dissolve the ink. Sometimes it comes off or isn't properly wiped away and then gets imprinted onto a note. This one sold for $200, so a 200 times is a pretty good result. And then other times you have a misaligned third printing where you have the serial number and the the Federal Reserve and the Treasury seal have a separate printing, and that the paper wasn't entered properly, most likely, and $240 is our result there. Also circulated for a bit. We've got another solvent smear, that doesn't properly wipe the ink off, and the solvent ends up staying there, $215. This one's in nice condition, but pretty visually appealing as well. Then there's the insufficient inking, which is sometimes the ink is not properly fully put on, different from the solvent smear because it's just under inked as opposed to having the solvent remaining when the plates hit each other. $175, so not crazy value, but the web notes definitely have some extra premium. Here's an ink smears where there's either extra ink or the ink isn't properly wiped away and it smears in the printing process. $180 on that note, and there's a third printing on the reverse, so I guess they were entered in, the sheet was entered in the wrong way, and this is $920, so a really nice gain in this case. And then here we've got a printed fold over and cutting error. So the paper folded over during the third printing, normal on this side, but as you can see, the rest of that printing would be on the back, and that's why it's cut strangely, because this was folded in. And I'm trying to think, it would be like folded back. It's tough to describe visually, but folded back, and then the part of the printing would probably just not have been there in that case because of the fold. So the misaligned overprint here, again, just a little bit off. This one's to the south. The Fed Reserve is fine, but the rest of it is not. $180 again, so sort of these mid-range values. We've got a printed fold, so right over there seems to have folded over, and the whole seal is missing. So I assume, I can't see like a super strong fold, but I think that this folded up, and the remainder of the serial number and Treasury seal could be found on the reverse of this. This one cost $3,360, so super appealing. And this one has just a misaligned black overprint, a little less obvious, and people didn't pluck it out until it was used a little bit, but the Federal Reserve seal was well below where it should be, so it can be more minor things that can still bring a few $100. That brings us to the end of this video. So a lot of different errors to look for, especially always check the serial numbers. Those are my favorite ones to look for. Then we have the different Atlanta F-star, New York B to L, and the general fast facts. You always check, see if there's just the faceplate and no second one or no letters attached. You've got something that's worth, in my opinion, pulling out anyways. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated. I've also got Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so you can follow me there. TreasuretownYT.com is the main channel website. Definitely give that a visit. I've got a lot of information about me up there and the channel. CoinGrabBag.com as well currently redirects there, but it's some good opportunities for very fair grab bags, both made by me and other sellers. A lot of different options, so that's a good way to support. There's also TreasureTownCoins.com. In the future, my coin dealing operation will be done out of that website. CoinMeltPrice.com for updates on the melt prices of your coins, both US and world. A lot of resources in that website. And then CoinsMetalsCards.com, being developed right now as a marketplace and news source for coins, metals, cards, and collectibles in general. So I'll see you on my future videos. Looking forward to seeing you there, and hope you have a good day.